welcome to Let's Talk Mental Health, where we bring awareness to the causes and solutions of mental health conditions. We are in our third part of a 5-part series on the 10 hit depression categories. The hits we're looking at today are nutrition and toxic. So let's start with nutrition. What is a nutrition hit?
Well, this is where we are not on a diet that's conducive to forming the brain chemicals necessary for optimal mental health. And so there's a number of different dietary factors that can be involved that can give us this hit. Now, in the depression and anxiety assessment test, which is a statistically validated test, there's 12 areas of nutrition that we look at. And if you have 4 of those areas that are not good, it's going to show up as a nutrition hit. Now, you may end up having a nutrition hit even if one area is not good, but if there's 4 or more, that's pretty bad, and it is going to produce mental health consequences as a result, particularly if you have other hits.
As far as nutrition that we're looking out for, is there anything, or is it more about what you're getting in your diet?
It's more about what you're getting in your diet. Are you getting enough tryptophan? Are you eating enough foods to get that? Are you getting enough tyrosine? Are you getting enough omega-3? Are you getting enough iron? Are you getting enough zinc? And so there's 12 different areas that we're looking at to see if you're getting enough of the nutrition necessary on a regular basis to be able to form the important brain chemicals that sustain good brain health.
The second hit, a toxic hit. What is a toxic hit?
A toxic hit is actually a literal toxin like lead or mercury or some other toxin, too much copper, that can actually cause adverse mental health consequences. It can cause depression, anxiety, it can cause even hallucinations, can cause insomnia. These toxins we're often unaware of until we're measured, and we don't realize sometimes that our lifestyles might have increased our risk significantly of getting particularly heavy metals in our system. Arsenic is another one, and cadmium, and there's a whole list of toxins, bismuth, that can produce some adverse mental health consequences.
How do we test for that, or is there a way that I could look to see if I have certain toxins in my diet or that I'm getting?
Well, one is the depression and anxiety assessment test. It's a test that's a screening test to see if our background makes us conducive to getting these toxins into our system. Another way is, of course, measuring these toxins, particularly in the urine. Sometimes hair analysis, but particularly urinary analysis can screen for a number of these toxins in our system. And then sometimes there's blood levels of the toxins that we look at, particularly in the area of copper. That's far better looking at it in the blood and how much free copper is in our system to know whether that's an issue or not.
Now, if you happen to identify some of these toxins, what do you recommend to reduce or eliminate them?
Well, the first thing we often do is get rid of the toxin exposure. And so if it's mercury, for instance, get rid of fish. Fish is the most common intake of mercury. And so we'd have to go to a fish-free diet. We might also want to actually bind on to the toxin. For instance, if it's excess copper, we want to not only get rid of seafood and seaweed, which are the highest sources of copper, and maybe mushrooms, which are the highest land plant in copper, but we would want to give the patient zinc to get rid of the copper, and zinc in the proper amounts, because copper is a trace mineral that we want to have in small amounts, but in too much it is a toxin. And so we would have to also measure the levels over time to see that the free copper is coming down, and there'll be some very positive brain chemistry changes take place when we start to eliminate these toxins.
Well, thanks for breaking these 2 hits down for us. In our next part, we are looking at 2 more hits, the developmental hit and the social/complicated grief hit. So make sure and stay tuned to see that next episode. This is Let's Talk Mental Health. I'm your host, Nathan Nedley, and as always, stay healthy, live happy.